Hey parents, today we're going to talk about RSV, respiratory syncytial virus. Most common reason to go to a hospital visit in our country, and it basically has the craziest middle name we've ever heard of. So let's just call it RSV. RSV is a virus that affects obviously our bronchial system, creating inflammation, fever, obviously labored breathing, certainly pain. So when we're dealing with our young ones, especially the 6 or 8 month olds or less, RSV can be very serious. So we want to really be careful that we don't reduce the severity of these conditions. But keep in mind that only roughly 2% of the time it goes into bronchiolitis, or what's basically known as pneumonia. 98% of the time it's just a common cold. So we don't really need to overreact either, but almost as a gut reaction, any typical parent is going to be there. They're going to kind of do a 24/7 on their kid. They're just going to watch everything they do. So we're going to keep them safe. We're going to make sure that that 2% does not show up in our children, but we really want to get to the cause, and we really want to get to the body's ability to defend itself from this nasty virus with the really funky middle name. You got your nervous system, you got your immune system, you have your respiratory system, and you have your gut and digestive system. So as a chiropractor, as a neurologically based pediatric chiropractor, we focus on the neural respiratory or neural gut system. You guys have probably heard a lot about the gut-brain connection. This is through a nerve. It's basically called the vagus nerve, which is a sensory nerve that's found in the top 2/3 of our gut that sends the information to the brain so that the brain can then elicit a response. So if that's a balance and a really healthy receiving, if the body is sending the proper signals through the vagus nerve to the brain, you're going to get the exact right immune response. Too much and the fever goes too high. Too little and the body's not responding enough to the fever. So we really want to make sure that our nervous system is well regulated even before we get the virus, so that our body can not only respond effectively, but also respond timely. It's really all about the power of your body, the power of our children's body to really regulate these concerns. In reality, we're doing our best, but nature has got this dialed. We don't really have to be that smart on how to fix these things. We just need to honor the fact that your body is intelligent, it's extremely well made, and if we follow some basic rules from the very, very beginning of life, we're not going to have many serious problems. So when we look at our little teeny ones, 6, 8 months old, if we've had some pre-existing challenges right from birth, let's say they were colicky or fussy, poor poopers, they'll get on the breast well, we already know there's a limitation to their nervous system regulating their milestones. These are when our body develops and changes its physiology to go to the next stage. So we start with a lot of healthy gut and digestion properties, but eventually the body has to get to its immune system. That's not brand new. There's some of that going from day one, but it's not fully developed. That's why breast milk basically fills the void. So if we have a brand new baby and we're exclusively using breast milk, we're going to cover the immune deficiency of our brand new baby. If we're having a challenge with that, if mom is difficulty in that area and then we need to supplement, we're going to know that our immune system is really not at its full potential. So these are some of the challenges we want to eliminate. We're kind of, again, going back to just nature and really appreciate how our body is made. If we do things as natural as possible, if we really kind of minimize, this smart, I got it all figured out attitude, and just have faith in how your body works, we can be incredibly successful. Because at the end of the day, every science on the planet has basically said that our brain is literally beyond human comprehension. We really will probably never really fully understand how it works. And that includes our immune system. So let's have faith in our body. So when we're working on a body or a baby and we're trying to basically ensure their immune system, we're trying to ensure their body's ability to fight these viruses, it all starts with the body's ability to receive information from the internal or outward environment. So those are what are called sensory nerves. They're called afferent nerves. It means the nerve is traveling to the brain. In school, I remember that because afferent starts with an A, so the nerves arrive to the brain. And then efferent nerves that exit, that's the E, they exit out of the brain and tell the body how to respond, either with your immune response or digestive response or lymphatic response. So we want to make sure that the information coming in is at the highest quality possible. In the computer world, we kind of call it garbage in, garbage out. I like to return that around and saying, quality in, quality out. But we really need to make sure that there's no neurological stress on our newborns. Remember that every newborn is going to have some stress on their nervous system. We have a study that basically points to 99 out of 100 births. So just to make it practical, we're all going to have some stress on our nervous system following birth. We just want to make sure it's minimal and not significant, but we need to have it checked. The primary system there is, again, your vagus nerve that exits out of the top of the neck. That's where most of the trauma is. That also sets up the ability for our brand new babies to literally perceive themselves in space through a nerve called proprioception. These are found in little teeny muscles at the back of our neck. That whole system coming together gives your system the right mechanics and the right neurology and the right potential to fight this stuff. So we really don't have to sit back and say, you know what, if I get RSV or if I get croup or if I get some kind of problem, there's a medication to solve that. I mean, that's a little silly. It's a little bit like saying, I'm not gonna, do prevention because I have a fire extinguisher next to the stove. You're gonna think ahead of it. That's a just in case, but you still wanna be smart. You wanna respect the fact that our bodies, our babies' bodies, are designed from moment one to be vital, to be healthy, and to really, really shine and be their best. So most of the time I do talk about the fact that our body goes through these transitional stages or milestones. So I also will talk frequently about the fact that our body neurologically finalizes its neurodevelopment roughly at 25. So we want to kind of have that sense from day one. We're still growing, we're still developing. And at the beginning, it's a lot more immature. Your body has to develop basically almost everything, right? The gut and digestion has already started, but that's about it. So we really want to have that sense from day one that we're nurturing health and we're nurturing vitality. But it's a virus. So it doesn't work with antibiotics. Antibiotics do not affect viruses. And also corticosteroids for viruses is really poorly researched. We don't see a lot of real benefit with those either. So a lot of times we go to mechanical processes like literally suction or drainage of the respiratory through like percussors. You're doing things to kind of get the fluids out of the body. Lymphatic drainage, going to a massage therapist. These are beautiful things. I even teach moms how to do lymphatic drainage on their newborns so we can actually assist the body through this process. But in reality, RSV really needs to be prevented, not dealt with. We can do some preventions at home, things like heat, hot baths, steam. We definitely want to get the children up so that natural, literally the gravity of body helps with drainage. We want this to be something that we can actually help our children with. But mostly we want to look at the neurology. Now, when we're looking at a neurological deficit, possibly giving our children more potential for RSV, it's typically found in the parasympathetic system. Again, the parasympathetic system is the vagus nerve. It's the primary nerve for parasympathetic. It's a sensory nerve picking up information from the body to the brain so the body can then manage a good response. That is opposite parasympathetic of sympathetic. And you might remember that sympathetic is our fight or flight, fear. So if our children are having common cold symptoms, and it's respiratory, which creates fear, that sympathetic is going to go up, which actually depresses the parasympathetic. So that's why calming our children is a huge benefit to getting over this. We just need a lot of hugs, a lot of hand-holding, a lot of just reduce the fear. If we're getting into a really aggressive respiratory problem, like it's going into pneumonia, maybe there's more gurgling, the throat is much more coughy and much more what you call that barking kind of cough, like you might get in croup. It's not a bad idea to have a pulse ox at home. You put it on their finger. You can get them at the store for $50. So it basically measures your blood oxygenation level. And if we're staying in those 80s, those high 80s, we're going to be okay. Our children are going to be, miserable and suffering, but they're going to be okay. And then we can certainly just contact our doctor besides going down there for a steroid or some kind of other intervention. But we want to have knowledge. We want to be safe, but mostly we want to trust our body and do everything we can in the prevention aspect of nurturing our body's natural mechanisms. So you have to look at nutrition, you have to look at emotions, and you have to look at movement. Now, as we get younger and younger, we're not going to have a whole lot of emotions except for our emotions onto our children. So in that sense, for an 8-month-old, we want to look at our emotions, not theirs. But we want to basically minimize that fear, because parasympathetic is the nerve for elimination, so for the gut, and also for your body's ability to calm down. So if we have an imbalance of our sympathetic parasympathetic, the body will not have a balanced response. It can overreact, and then the temperature is much too high, or it can underreact, and the immune process is not high enough. So we want to nurture, we want to take care of, we want to prevent. Here at Five Parks Chiropractic, we do a test on brand new babies. We even do the same test on adults, slightly modified, to measure the balance of your sympathetic and parasympathetics so that we can actually get insight to these challenges prior to them happening. Stay ahead of the game. Stay ahead of the curve. Remember, you are wonderfully made. All we have to do is take care of what God's given us, and we're going to shine all the way through our entire life. So I want to be optimistic, I want to be giving you hope, and I want to be giving you benefits for the future, but I also want to be there for those difficult days when our children are hurting or we're going through some serious challenges. There are ways that we can help. So if you have questions, give us a call. If you found this information helpful, share it with others. We're here to serve. Thank you so much for your time today.